Hello, and welcome to today's discussion. I'm Sonia, and joining me is Simon. We'll be covering several key stories that have been making headlines recently.
Hi, Sonia. Hi, everyone. I'm Simon. Let's dive into the topics at hand.
The Reserve Bank of India has decided to keep the repo rate unchanged at 5.25% for the second time in a row. The decision comes amid concerns over rising energy prices and potential inflationary pressures due to the West Asia crisis. Can you tell us more about what this means?
The RBI's decision to maintain the repo rate at 5.25% indicates a cautious stance on inflation and economic growth. The West Asia crisis has led to increased energy prices, which could impact inflation. What measures has the RBI taken to address these concerns?
The RBI has introduced several measures to bolster the rupee, including expanding accessible securities for foreign investors and increasing investment limits for NRIs. These actions aim to attract foreign capital and strengthen India's balance of payments. The central bank is also closely monitoring global developments and will assess the impact of higher energy costs before considering further action.
So the RBI is not just focusing on the repo rate, but also taking additional steps to stabilize the currency and manage inflation expectations. That's interesting. How does the revised GDP growth projection to 6.6% fit into this picture?
The revision to 6.6% reflects the RBI's cautious outlook on economic growth amid global uncertainties. The Monetary Policy Committee has maintained a neutral stance, indicating that they are prepared to adjust policies as needed based on evolving circumstances.
Let's shift gears to a different story. S&P Dow Jones Indices has decided to keep its existing eligibility criteria for the S&P 500, which affects companies like SpaceX that are planning large IPOs. Can you explain what this means for SpaceX?
The decision by S&P Dow Jones Indices means that SpaceX, despite its planned $1.75 trillion valuation IPO, will not be able to join the S&P 500 immediately. The company fails to meet the profitability criteria due to recent losses. This move maintains the traditional requirements for S&P 500 inclusion.
That's significant because being part of the S&P 500 can have a substantial impact on a company's visibility and investor confidence. How does this decision compare to Nasdaq's approach to listing rules for large AI firms?
Interestingly, Nasdaq has eased its listing rules for large AI firms like Anthropic and OpenAI. This contrast between S&P's strict criteria and Nasdaq's more flexible approach highlights different strategies in managing indexed inclusions.
Moving on, Oil India has reported the presence of natural gas in its third exploratory well in the Andaman offshore block. What are the implications of this discovery?
The discovery of natural gas in the Andaman offshore block is significant for India's energy security. It indicates the presence of hydrocarbons in the region, which could contribute to meeting the country's energy demands. The well started producing immediately after perforation, with pressure buildup observed soon after operations commenced.
That's a positive development. How does this fit into India's overall energy strategy, especially with global crude supply concerns?
This discovery aligns with India's efforts to enhance domestic energy production and reduce reliance on imports. The presence of natural gas in the Andaman Sea could be a valuable resource, especially given the current global supply concerns. Vingroup, a Vietnamese conglomerate, has launched an all-electric taxi service called Green SM Limo in Delhi. What are the key features of this service?
Green SM Limo is entering the Indian market with a fleet of electric SUVs and plans to deploy 10,000 vehicles. The service features safety technology and is expected to capture a significant share of the ride-hailing market. What are the potential implications for the Indian transportation sector?
The introduction of an all-electric taxi service could promote the adoption of electric vehicles in India, contributing to reduced emissions and operating costs. It also brings in foreign investment and technology, potentially enhancing the overall quality of transportation services.
The Union Commerce Minister, Piyush Goyal, has stated that India can increase its seafood exports to $30 billion in 5 years. What are the plans to achieve this target?
The target involves increasing production and quality, as well as exporting more ready-to-eat and branded seafood products. Free trade agreements are expected to enhance market access. The focus is also on reducing raw shrimp imports and exporting value-added goods to boost foreign exchange earnings.
So the strategy includes both improving the quality and value addition of seafood products, as well as leveraging trade agreements. That's a comprehensive approach. How significant is this target in terms of India's current seafood export figures?
The current seafood export figure is substantial, and reaching $30 billion in 5 years would represent significant growth. It reflects India's potential in the global seafood market and the government's efforts to capitalize on this opportunity.
As we wrap up today's discussion, it's clear that these stories cover a wide range of economic and industrial developments in India and beyond.
That's right. From monetary policy decisions to new business ventures and energy discoveries, there's a lot to unpack. Thanks for joining me, Simon, in exploring these topics.
Thank you, Sonia. It's been a pleasure discussing these stories with you.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.